because the only way to beat this is to leave no one behind. So when we talk about stigma, we also need to avoid that, but we need to avoid exclusion as well. We're in this together, and I hope we can finish this together.
Yes.
Because
I
the only way to beat this is to leave no one behind. So when we talk about stigma, we also need to
and nobody
avoid
should be excluded.
that, but we need to avoid exclusion.
But
as
the
well.
only thing I'd
We're
like to add to this is
this together,
especially political
and,
leaders,
I hope we can finish
religious
this together.
leaders, community leaders have a special role.
Because
I
the
fully
only way to
agree,
beat
and
this
this
is
is
to leave no one
everybody's
behind. So
tell
when we talk
everyone's
about stigma,
business,
we also need to
and nobody
avoid
should adhere to just basic morality, respecting others. And this virus is a common enemy. So I would expect and call upon all political leaders, religious leaders, and community leaders to play a bigger role here.
Thank you very much. Let's try to move to Karachi in Pakistan. Express Tribune. Do we have someone online? Hello, can you hear us, please? Yes, yes, please, go ahead. Hello, we can. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I'm Neha.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Neha from the Express Tribune.
Okay, welcome, please.
My question is, what does the epidemiological outlook in Pakistan look like in the near future?
Thank you very much.
It's difficult to predict the epidemiologic outlook in any country. I have personally worked in Pakistan on polio eradication for nearly 3 years, and very much enjoyed my time working with some excellent Pakistani colleagues working on infectious disease control, among them Dr. Rana Safdar. So I think there's a great capacity in Pakistan, there's a great public health capacity, but there are also great challenges. You have a highly mobile population, you have great mega cities, and you have many underserved people. So there is a great challenge facing Pakistan. But Pakistan has also demonstrated time and time again with dengue, with polio, with other diseases, how all of government, all of society approaches can be made to work. So we wish Pakistan all the best luck in the world, and all of our assistance in supporting some fine public health servants in your country.
Thank you very much. Hope this answers the question on Pakistan. Now we go to Moscow, to Kommersant FM, and we have Uliana calling. Uliana, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Well, my questions are, when do you think the COVID-19 will peak in the world? And given that the vaccine has not yet been developed, does WHO have any recommendations about drugs or medications that can be effective in the treatment process?
Thank you very much.
So the first question is, when will this peak in the world? That's a very good question, and I'm sure everyone has that on their mind. One thing we are not able to do is to predict what will happen. What we need to do is prepare for any scenario. And the trajectory of this pandemic, the trajectory of each epidemic in each country is dependent on the actions of each country. So what we have seen in several countries in Asia, we've seen them tackle this virus, be aggressive in their approach in terms of finding their cases and contacts, and have this them have very strong, very bad epidemics, and have them peak. Hopefully that they've peaked. China has certainly peaked, and there's been a decline, but there's always the chance that those cases can increase again. So we always have to be on the ready to look for any cases that pop up. With regards to the rest of the world, as I said, it will depend on how countries react to their first cases, and if they have an aggressive approach to those first cases. For countries that are dealing with clusters of cases, it will depend on how they aggressively look for the chains of transmission within those clusterings of cases, making sure that they identify every single case, every contact, separate the contacts, put them in quarantine. And for those countries that are dealing with much larger outbreaks and community transmission, making sure that there's a much broader approach in terms of mobilizing their entire workforce to support the response to this, making sure that their hospitals have the possibility to cope with increasing numbers of cases. But it's impossible for us to say when this will peak globally. We hope that it is sooner rather than later, but again, we can't emphasize enough that there have been countries that have demonstrated the ability to turn the tide to suppress transmission, and it is in the hands of every country to be able to do that. So we are hoping that more countries put more aggressive efforts into doing so.
On the issue of drugs and vaccines, there's been there are large is the enemy of the good when it comes to emergency management. Speed trumps perfection. And the problem in society we have at the moment is everyone is afraid of making a mistake. Everyone is afraid of the consequence of lessons we can all use, the best way to move forward together. No one has done perfectly and no one has made all the mistakes. We share all of the errors together, so we will share failure in the same way we will share success.
In order to have anyone who finds out that they have been diagnosed with COVID-19 report back to the airline, the hotel, the organization. To the best of my knowledge, nothing is in place. What should be done? And Dr. Maria, this goes back a bit to your response about IDing contacts.
I'll take the first part, and Maria will follow up on the direct technical side. If the strategy is about case finding and contact tracing and truly focused on containment, then any institution that was in the pathway of that person.
The Reuters live service. This is the primary audio circuit for the Reuters live.
She will remain in isolation for the time being. We're thinking about all the families across the country who've received the same diagnosis. But we're in good hands. We have full confidence in Canada's health officials and
on a more general level, we work very closely with the World Tourism Organization, with the Civil Aviation Organization, with the International Air Transport Association, and so many others in trying to come up with common guidelines and common technical inputs for all of our partners in the hospitality and travel industry. And we do feel for your industry in particular in terms of the impacts it's had on you. We thank you for your participation, your cooperation, and for the sacrifices you're making to help cope with this pandemic. And we certainly will work harder, and especially in those contexts where it is possible to ask governments to share more risk information with your institutions.
Only to add to that there does need to be a process in place to identify contacts of there is a process in place. If you haven't been contacted as a known contact of a confirmed case, contact your local Department of Health, contact your local ministry or your GP and say, I believe I'm a contact, what should I do?
durée indéterminée. Nous pensons à toutes les familles d'un bout à l'autre du pays qui ont reçu le même diagnostic. Mais nous sommes entre bonnes mains.
And good afternoon, everyone.
음식물 쓰레기 버리는 날이야? 아니구나.
Enable you to do your job. Cases and deaths than the rest of the world combined, apart from
più colpite sono le fasce di età a partire dai 70 anni, con un picco tra gli 80 e gli 89 anni. E sostanzialmente purtroppo anche la letalità, che vi ricordo è il rapporto tra gli ammalati e tra quelli che muoiono, è il numero di morti tra gli ammalati, così risulta più chiaro, è ovviamente e purtroppo più elevata nelle persone oltre gli 80 anni. In queste persone, la maggioranza di queste persone è portatrice di più patologie croniche. Soltanto 2 persone non sono risultate al momento portatrici di patologie, ma sono cartelle cliniche che dobbiamo